Hello to all suffering addicts, and hello to all the people who have found sanity in the recovery lifestyle. In this episode of Stories of Addiction, I'll be talking to Bill about his addiction and his recovery from addiction. Bill is a client at the Galt House Sober Living Environment in Santa Cruz, California. He is from Salinas, California, is 55 years old, and he has been addicted to crack and meth, as well as alcohol, weed, and a little bit of everything else. Bill, how you doing tonight?
I'm blessed to be here, come a long ways, where do I begin at? I guess, you know what, I'm just going to take it from the very beginning. I grew up in Salinas, like was told. I grew up during the Cesar Chavez times. It was really, really like, it was like, almost like a little bit like a racial thing. It was like racial thing, really. It was Mexican people were really mad at that time. They were picketing, and there my little family was walking through their neighborhood to go to school in the morning time, which was like a big issue. I would get chased a lot, beat up a lot, and I really didn't blame the people because they were so angry at the time, about what things, and their madness really wasn't for us. We were just coming through at the wrong time, and it kind of like changed my life because it forced me to be involved with gangs. It was like my only, I felt like it was my only protection. And plus I really had, in my childhood, that's why I kind of go back, and I think that attributed to my addiction too, I remember going to school. On the way to school, I would get beat up to go to school, and then when I get to school, I'd be in such bad shape that the teachers wouldn't want to let me go to school. Sometimes they would catch you and give you a choice: either we pee on you or we beat you up. And so my dad was like a military man, and so that was like the worst thing in the world, is for his son to come to school smelling like pee. It's just like such a big dishonorable thing, And so I just began to run all the time. I'd run back, but then my brothers were coming up, and I remember the turning point of me wanting to be affiliated was they caught my little brother, which I really loved so much, and they told him, he came and told me, he said, "Billy, I'd rather for them to pee on me than to beat me up." You know what I'm saying? That kind of grabbed me real bad, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, you know what, you can stop this if you're a part of this. But, the gang at that time to me was so intimidating. You know what? I'll just still a part of the gang. I'll just wear their colors. I wear blue. That'll keep me safe, So, you know what? It was like the greatest 2 weeks in the world that I wore blue. I was like wondering, man, why, these Mexican dudes, they don't even bother the dudes who wear blue, Then the gang caught up with me, and basically they beat the snot out of me, And then they said, "Hey, you know what? You took it real good. If you want to be a part of us, we'll be after school, and we'll be there after school. You should be there." And so I was like, "Oh, all right, I didn't went this far, I've been lying to my mom and dad. They asked you what happened to you. I fell down the stairs. I fell down, And so I went after school, and I didn't know there were so many of them, right? So they said, "You want to be a part of us? Go ahead and choose one of us. Choose one of them to beat up." And I was looking around. I'm looking for the smallest sucker over there, you know what I'm saying? So I did. I chose him. And so the minute I swung on him, the whole chapter jumped on me. Basically just jumped me. And so they said, "Well, you know what? You just got jumped in. You want to be a part of us?" He said, "You got to remember that if someone mess with one of us, they mess with all of us." Okay. So I'm going through things in my childhood, and I'm watching my dad. My dad, he has he's really good about it. He has a drinking problem, but he's really keeping in the closet, and like every once in a while we catch him really messed up or at parties, and so I'm taking with that in a point where you know what I'm stealing his liquor and drinking it, and then like I'm hanging out with my friends and I'm getting some for them, out of my dad's out of my dad's stash. We're getting drunk and.
How old were you at this point?
I was like 13. I was like 13 when I was really noticing that it was like a problem, and so it carried on until about like 15 or 16. I was really I would just do it just because everyone else was doing it, but I really wasn't really into it. I really didn't like the taste of it. Some people can drink and eat. I couldn't do that. Beer and pieces, that was like nasty to me. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I started smoking weed at that time, which really wasn't that. I really didn't look at it that bad. I just had to hide it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, to me, it wasn't that bad. But then we'd experiment with Sherm and PCP when we didn't get all rah-rah, and so that, that went on, and then crack came out, and I was selling crack. And crack to me was like, it was like the forbidden thing. You could sell it, but don't smoke it, And everybody that I was around at that time that started me out selling it, it was just like, that was the thing, we didn't want you to touch it with your hands, You got to, when we hand it to you, don't even touch it with your hands, And so all the people that held me down, it was just like a handful of like seeds or dandelions when you just, and everybody that was like holding you down and like making you follow the rules and do things, they either got locked up, shot, killed, or just left or testified against somebody, So therefore, it just like left me with crack. And so crack turned into like, we got married. Me and crack got married. Basically, we got married. Me and crack, we got married. It didn't want me. I couldn't enjoy a woman with crack. I was just like, you know what? You're not putting your mouth on crack and me. It's just like another mouth to feed. You know what? Crack doesn't want this, and I don't want this. Me and crack, we need to be together.
Yeah, like a third wheel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, crack like made me break up my family. Crack made me sell my cars, all my belongings. It was just like a cold-blooded, really, really tough spouse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was real hard. I would go like days and I would take and steal and lie and cheat so much that I like forget to remember or remember to forget. It was just like I didn't know really. It was, I really couldn't decide. I would steal things and mail them back to myself. That's how out of it. I would take an envelope with me because I know for a fact I'm going to jack shit. When I run out of crack, I'm gonna go. I'm jacking something. I don't know, but I would go through so much. I know I'd have so much that I would just like end up mailing it back to myself. I did that a lot of times, and I'd be shocked. I'd like, oh man, $500. Oh wow, that was cool. I don't remember how it got here, but it looks like my signature on this, But it was bad, and then I ended up getting made. I felt like I got made of example because I was like, got caught with $10 worth of crack. And see, crack at that time was like, ooh, you don't want to get caught with crack, just like a residue. Okay, I got caught with $10 worth of cocaine on me, and crack on me, and they gave me altogether 3 years.
Wow.
And I was like, $10, and I was just like, crack is like, ooh, black with crack and It's terrible. Black with crack would do it. You go see the penitentiary at that time. You was gonna go see the penitentiary.
What year was that?
Oh, this is like 83.
Oh.
83. And oh my gosh, it was quite an experience, and then it just got me deeper and deeper in being affiliated, because that's the only way you're going to like survive at that time, and so I got out of that. I ended up doing the time there, and I got out. The minute I got out, I was just like making up with lost times with my old lady and just start having kids, but then I wasn't over with it, I was still putting my family through hell, my wife through hell. It was just like she was just like waiting for me when I got out, and it was terrible. And then I actually ended up going to a program which helped me. In Genesis House, I remember that was like a turning point in my life. I went to Genesis House, and then it was like a attack program. I mean, to the point where you would act out different like scenarios, and it was just like I'm fresh out of prison, and I go to this program, and I'm in there with 13 women, and me and this other guy's in there. I think last name is Berryhill, John Berryhill to be exact. And so we find out that these women are like all prostitutes, and so it was like it was hard. I mean, my first day was like in the program was I came in there with braids. I mean, I'm like, really, really buff. And the coordinator, the manager of the place, she's talking to me, find out where I am, talk to my parole officer and everything. And she just sums me up and says, you got a real macho problem. That's what's wrong with you. You think you're like a He-Man or Herculoid. That's what she said. I was like, I really don't like her off the top, just putting me in a category like this. And she comes back. She goes, what I want you to do is pick out colors in this box, and then you're going to draw a sign. And I'm like, okay, all right. I naturally picked out blue, black, and she goes, all right, you pick them out? And I was like, yeah. She goes, oh, those are like the affiliation gang colors, huh? She goes, that's not going to work. And she goes and gives me a pink, a pink pen to draw a sign out, which really bent me over, what I'm saying? What am I don't even like the color pink to draw stuff with, and she's like, yeah, you're going to make a sign that says, I'm not as macho as I think. And then I was like, oh. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. She goes, or I can call your parole officer because you're not going along with this program. And so I was like, okay, macho as I think, I'm not as macho as I think. Okay, all right. And then after that, she made a hole punch and made me wear it.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of, what I'm saying, that, it took, oh my gosh, it was hard, And then like, they would do car washes, and like, I was doing this in Seaside, which is not that far from where I grew up at. And like, a lot of people in Seaside I had rivals with, and they would see me, with the pink sign that says I'm not as macho as I think. We'd have to do car washes, and it was like, it was a pretty cold thing.
Huh.
I had to get used to it.
How long did you have to wear the sign for?
Oh, it was like a contract. It was like 9 to 5.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was a tough thing, and I couldn't wait to take it off at the end of the day, and then the next day it would start again. But after a while, you know what? It really didn't bother me, and so I got over that, and they could see I got over that, and so then I was like counseling other people when they come into the program, and just like you're able to see like a lot of people that come in that have the same problem that you might have, kind of like this right here, that you're able to help other people. And to me, part of my sobriety is part of getting better was being able to help someone else. That's like one of my things that I like to do is to give back. Yeah, I didn't graduate that program. It was hard. You know what? I can't make excuses, but it was hard coming from prison and into living with 13 prostitutes. And so, you know what? It was like, it was really a tough thing because like interviewing them, some of the stories that they would tell, me and John Berryhill would be like we're the only dudes, right? We're interviewing them, and some of the stories that they would tell about what happened to them was so. I think they were making it erotic on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And it was like hard to kind of focus on your program or try to help somebody when you're like, this woman is woo. I'm sorry about what happened, but what happened in the shower? But it was a tough thing, and it helped me stay. It helped me get off of crack. But after a while, I got done with that, and I got back with my ex-wife, and she like stuck with me really a lot. She went beyond the call. I mean, some of the things I would put her through. I actually thought that, you know what, I would have left me. I would have actually left me, and
And did she have a drug problem at all, or?
I would not let her. I would not let her. And she asked so many. She really didn't ask that many times, but it seemed like she asked me a lot. She wanted to just like be on the same level with me if she's going through everything that I did. But we had started having, she had was pregnant with my first son, and I just, you know what, I was like dirt on the bottom of your shoe, but I just could not let that happen. And it's just like, maybe that's being stingy or selfish, but you know what? I couldn't let her do it,
I think it's just the opposite of being stingy or selfish. I mean, I recognize some of it might be you want it for yourself, but then also if it's like, oh yeah, you care about her, and like, I think it can be both, you know what I'm saying? And like, you don't want to see her get to where you're at,
Yeah. But Stefan, when you're on crack, all that's really thrown out of the window.
Yeah.
Really.
You just focus on that rock.
It is. It is. I've seen so many. I remember when I used to sell it, I'd be seeing so many like terrible things, people giving up their food stamps, kids waiting outside the dope house waiting for their mom to come out. When you go in there, could you see my mom? You tell her to get it, and she has food stamps for her. And then the worst thing about it is like, you're the one that got the food stamps from her, which is her baby's food. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you don't really have no morals, really. You don't really care. It's only about you. But it's a cold-blooded piece. But yeah, I would not let her do crack. moving right along. After that portion, I did I didn't complete the program, but I got a lot out of it. You know, I'm gonna say it like that. I got a lot out of it. From there, I started doing construction work, kind of like doing really doing positive things. I really started doing positive things, and then from there, I started doing bounce work, working as a bouncer, and that was another thing that really caused me to be around alcohol a lot. And so at first it was like no big deal. I mean, you really couldn't necessarily, I guess you could, but I really didn't believe in like being drunk and trying to force somebody out of the bar because they were acting full because they're drunk. You know what I'm saying? So I would feel like, you know, I was righteous because I would wait till the bar is closed and everybody's gone, and so we're there, and that's when I would really get drunk, you know. And for the most part, drinking to me, it was like snoring. It's like, you know, I really don't think it's that bad of a problem, but the people who are sleeping next to you or in the same house and saying, that's a problem. You need to fix. You really need to fix that, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, you know what? They could be lying on me, you know. Maybe I'm you know what? My throat's a little dry. Maybe they might be I snort a little bit. No, you know what? I would get drunk so bad that I would actually like go and look for my car in the morning time. That's the first thing I do. Like, where did I leave my car? You know, I was like kind of thinking ahead. I remember one time I was thinking ahead, and I kind of like hid the car from me, you know, and so I'm almost scared to call the police because there's probably open liquor inside that car, you know. It's a tough thing. Then I got to the point where, you know what, I'm not gonna when I go out and drink, I'm not gonna drive, you know. Which met on with other problems, and like I would, if I wasn't working, I'd really just get hammered. And then I got to the point where I didn't really want to get that drunk, and I found cocaine would kind of take you out of the drunkenness, you know, which like just almost just erase you being you being drunk and just like, hey, you know what? Let's giddy up. Let's ride the horse. And so that's one thing I do, and then like I started doing stand-up comedy, which is like a thing that I found that like I almost think that I would be forgiven if I could make people laugh. You know, I have like there's a sickness with that. If I almost feel like I forget, I'd be forgiven about a lot of things if I can make people laugh. You know, just for like feeling like the wrongs that I did to them. And laughter is like a very powerful thing. I think I'm babbling on, but I'm gonna fast forward to where I got injured real bad. I got bit by a recluse.
Oh, wow.
A brown recluse, and which caused my my leg. It just the skin on it started eating. I mean, I'd take a shower and the skin would just literally just fall off, right? And so the doctors start giving me Oxycontins, you know, and so I can't feel no pain when they give me them oxys. I just don't feel nothing, you know. And I was like, this is a good feeling, you know. And so it's a good feeling until they don't give it to you no more. I remember it was almost like him saying in slow motion, "I can't refill this for you anymore," And so I guess I intimidated him so bad when he said I couldn't have it that they called the security on me. And so I was really upset. You know how you like have in your mind like, oh yeah, and you know what? I'll talk to you later. Let me get my Oxycontins and I'll be right back with you, and then nothing, Oh man, that was just like, ooh, yeah, you gonna need help for this right here. You gonna need some help. It's like saying we gonna stop you from drinking water. You're not gonna get no more water, no more.
Especially when you're already expecting. I know what you mean. Like you're like it's already right there in front of you, and then all of a sudden, poof! It's not. Whether it's the doctor cutting you off or your dealer like showing up and then not having it or something.
Yeah, you hate him.
Yeah,
you actually, you know what I'm saying. There's the likes left. There ain't no more likes right there. Yeah. It was a tough piece, and so they called security on me, and I came back again. And so I was more or less like stalk haunting him because, it's just like, just give me one more and all right, we'll call it even right there. I ain't gonna bother you no more. I don't even like doctors, So that didn't work out. So only thing I can find is you know what? I'm gonna have to be my own pharmacy, my own prescription thing, because this pain is just too much. This pain is gonna put me in jail, and they ain't gonna give me no real good pain medication in jail. So I'm gonna have to go out there and get my own, medication. And so meth took away the pain. I was shocked at meth. I was like, you the new doctor in this mug. I just like, I don't feel nothing. I should go put my track shoes on. This is stupendous, And like, I wasn't shooting it. I was just smoking. And I was like, man, wanting to just make meth chewing gum. I was putting in everything. Putting it in a cigarette. Hey, let's smoke meth in a joint. A lot of people would smoke weed with me thinking, this is some good ass weed. You just smoked meth. You didn't even know it. you had a methograte. And same way with my weed pipe. Oh, dude, let me smoke some. And then they be following you. That it was terrible, and I didn't care. It's kind of like with crack. I didn't care who I got. I remember I was just like terrible, you went crack. I remember telling this woman it was blonde hash. It's blonde hash. Don't even worry about it. It's good, That's wrong. And then they start following you. It's like, where'd you get this hash at, I might know a guy. But anyways, the meth took me out of it. You know what? I feel like, understand me, I'm getting high on meth when I wasn't really high until I could feel like ghosts and spirits following me. That's when I was like, ooh, this is where I want to be at.
Yeah.
Trying to dodge some devils, you know what I'm saying? It's like the cold piece, And then it would keep me up for 3 or 4 days. And then really what it did, it was like making me worse. It's like when I come down, I would just like feel everything. Parts of my leg were just like the hole was getting bigger. I don't know, meth was getting on it and just like making it bigger. I would get so high and drunk, I would start scratching a big open wound. And so I remember going to the hospital, and they were like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, there was something in there. I had to get it out. There was like, I went to my, it was bad. So I sleep with my girlfriend, and I end up bleeding in the bed real bad, which is a turn off. It's like, it's, it was hard. It was hard to be back with your whole leg hemorrhaging pussy blood in the bed, that's gonna be the no. So our relationship really went on the rocks right then. And so I began to get homeless. I was like, whew, things have gotten bad. You know what? What's wrong with you? You need some more meth. That's what's wrong with you. All this thinking and shit. You need some more meth. That's what's wrong with you. And so I got to the point where I'm just like sleeping on the beach and sleeping in the woods, and which I was like being able to handle that. Yeah, I got that. Big Grizzly Adams type, nature thing. I'm with that. Until I got poison oak in my wound. I got a I got a big wound on my leg, and when I'm not high, I could barely walk. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm getting high all the time because I do anything not to feel that pain. And then it's bad when I get so high, I like start scratching the freaking wound. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? These are cheap socks. I got to get some better socks. Can't even hold a little blood. Yeah, that's a lot of blood coming out of your leg there, Mr. Sir. And so I end up going to the hospital. Again, I had so many days where I go to the hospital that I was just like accumulating, and each one of them say, this is not good. You need to get off your leg and arrest it. I'm like, yeah. I'm gonna do that. Where am I gonna rest it at? On a park bench? It was like my options were really few. And then it got to the point where I started, my ex-girlfriend kind of felt bad for me, and she's like, I know you're going through hell right now. You can come and stay in here. And so, she let me stay over there, make sure I was going to the hospital and whatnot, But then I had to still do comedy. That's like my only thing I got to me that's like making me not feel so depressed, just going out doing shows. But then when I do comedy, it's just like I have a different persona, type of person I am. When I get up on the stage, I'm like this cocky black dude, ain't scared of nothing. But then after I get done, either I'm so drunk because I need to do that before I get up on stage, or it's a weird metaphor. All the people that I've bounced out of the club, I was like this tough guy, but now I'm doing stand-up comedy, and so it's like a weird metaphor. I can understand it. And so I ended up catching a case because this guy just would not leave me alone, and I assaulted him real bad, and so they gave me 2 years in prison for that. It was really nothing more than a bar fight outside, but it's just all the racks against me before. It was like ex-affiliated, ex-gang member, sold crack back in the days, and it was a wrap. They made me do 2 years altogether in prison for that, which was like a real waker-upper to be like wounded real bad in the lion's den. I was like, that's the best I could explain it, So
when did they give you treatment at least when you were locked up, or?
This is what. When I was locked up, I was like, they really didn't believe that. At first, I was wounded, hurt that bad until they seen it. Then they said, well, we're not going to give you nothing but some Tylenol in here, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay. And then the pain would get so bad that, oh my gosh, then I'm kicking Oxycontins and I'm kicking meth. and I'm kicking. Oh my gosh, it was just like they end up putting me in a special little wing in there and all by myself because I was basically there's no roommate getting no rest with me. I ain't have no celly. We going to war. I'm kicking. Plus I'm wounded. I'm in pain. Everything's bothering me. So they basically put me in solitary. And me and Jesus start doing time together. That's basically it. Me and God start doing time together. Everything around me just like needed a break from me. That's probably what it was. Everything around me needed a break from Bill. We just, even my mom's like needed a break. My family needed a break. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I could totally understand that. Now. Then it was a crusher. It was I can't believe I just like nobody coming to see me. I was like. No one? I didn't think I was that bad. There again, it was like I was snoring, I didn't think it was that bad, But people thought it was really, really terribly bad. So it's like one of the things. So I ended up going to San Quentin. And I ain't giving the prison system all these props and stuff, but I ended up doing time over it. And I got out and I went to New Life here in Santa Cruz. And New Life was good to me. It took me a while to get used to things, But I thank God for them, But I really just like think that when it gets down to it, you being sober, you have to make up your own mind to do it. I mean, I've been sober for 2 years, 2 years, but I can't really even attribute it to like. Oh, I've just made up my mind and I decided I'm not going to do it. That's bullshit. The law said, you know what, snoring man, we're going to lock your ass up. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes life and things just come into play where, you know what, you could never really think you're that bad. You could never really feel like it's time for me to just put the pipe away and just back away from it, I think I'm one of them people, that you know what, I have to just like get pointed right in a direction where I'm gonna go and say, hey, you know what, I can really see where I'm not getting it. I'm totally wrong. I do snore. You know what I'm saying? That's like I'm like one of those people, and so I'm working on that. And like I say, even like I go to a lot of meetings and I don't really try to get no chips until I want to have like a year on my own sober, not to be force fed it because it's really a good thing. I really think it's a good thing, but I want that on my own. I want to own it,
Well, I totally understand where you're coming from, but I would almost counter, like when you were at New Life and stuff, and perhaps even in prison, but certainly at New Life, like you could have walked away and just said fuck it and gone and bought a bottle or a bag or whatever, and you didn't do it, So like, there's nothing. While you've been here, like you have still done this, you know what I mean? And perhaps, you mentioned Jesus or God, perhaps with your higher power's help, but you're still doing it. You're still making that decision. So, I mean, I would encourage you to at least own and recognize that, that you are for whatever and however you're doing it. You have made the decision to stay sober, and that's huge, especially compared to how it sounds like it was before,
Yeah, it was. I was. yeah, I was really terrible. I was, and then not really being able to see it. I just feel like, knowing how to call it quits is like the thing. Just call it quits. What's wrong with you, Bill, is you need to get some more drugs in you. That's what's wrong with you. That's why you having this second thought. Got to quit rehab, Mister Sir. You need to go ahead and just get you a good shot, and then get you a good toke, and then sit down, then see if you want to quit. And so I never did really. I never really did get it until it's like right now. I see them. I can see things don't affect me and like get at me like they used to, and it's just like um maybe it's because I'm older. I am a bit older, but I can see where I'm going and I like what I'm doing. I like feeling like, I don't need to go and do that. I don't need to go pay for that. I don't need to find him so he can get me some of this right here. You know what I'm saying? I like waking up in the morning time, knowing where my vehicle's at. I like waking up in the morning time and going to my job and like meaning something. You know what I'm saying? It's a good feeling. I'm not rich or anything, but I can see how far I've come from, and that's a good feeling. And knowing that your family and your people want you around, they can't wait for you to come around. Compared to where they couldn't wait for you to leave. You know what I'm saying? It's a big difference. I'm blessed in that. I don't want to be a sore winner, but you know what? I'm really feeling good about this. And as far as my sobriety, man, I'm just running towards it. You know what? I'm running towards it and trying to just do this. But a lot of times I go back and I think about how long I was on drugs compared to before that I wasn't doing them, and the two don't compare. I've always done, either weed, alcohol, some type of drug. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to sum up. It's really hard to sum up, and it's hard to admit that, you wasted a lot of time, you wasted a lot of tears, you made a lot of people unhappy, you've done so many bad things, and so I can just sum it up as like I want to do better, That might sound weak or not the answer, but I just want to do a lot better. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that sounds weak. I think that's just the opposite. That sounds strong, and especially if that's what motivates you. I mean, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I gave a lot of years to my addiction, but it's like now we get to give a lot of years to our recovery, and it's sort of like what we get to, and I admit, like, it's hard not to look at those mistakes as like failures, like you say, but like or a waste of time, but it's a learning experience, and if that can inform who we are today and then the choices we make from here on out, I don't know. I think it's valuable. I really like that. I really like that analogy you use of the snoring and not being able to see it, and just like our addiction, we can't see how bad it is. What are your hopes for the future from here on out?
My hopes is to be able to, like, make a path so someone else can like walk in it and kind of see which way to go, and maybe like even counsel, like even be able to just like give back into a program, and basically help somebody that it's like there's one thing about like being a dope fiend or ex dope fiend is you can tell a lot of times when people are like the problems that they go through, you're really understanding. You can understand it and see where they might need some nurturing here, or being able just to draw back and let them. You know what? Am I just pouring water on a dead flower? You know, or do they want this too? And I think a lot of times is if you really want it, if you really put the energy out, just like when you went to go get your dope, you didn't even care, you're just like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this, you know what, it's gonna go down. If I have to go to a different county or a bad neighborhood, I'm gonna go ahead and make this happen. And I think that's what I gotta do, and people have to do with their sobriety. You have to just like no days off. Just go get it. Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, that's awesome. I want to thank you, Bill, for joining us here today on the Stories of Addiction podcast. And to all our listeners, we wish you to stay sober and to be happy.